Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Agent to Agent. Now, today I have got something really special for you. I am going to run through my entire listing appointment system that consistently gets a high conversion rate. I'm going to cover the tools that I use. A lot of you have been asking me what specific tools and how do you use them and how does it all fit together. So I'm going to diagram it all together for you today. And we're going to cover data, we're going to cover dialers, we're going to cover scripts, scheduling, and how to avoid no-shows, CRMs and autoresponders. We're going to go over my world famous email soap opera sequence, email sequences. We're going to go over how to use video to pre-sell before an appointment. It's my 2-minute webinar. Nobody else has seen this yet. And we're going to go over another video about how to avoid overpricing once you're on the appointment so that your listing is going to sell. And we're also going to go over how to use online sales funnels, an online sales site. That's also something new to the market. And we're also going to then go over follow-ups. So each one of these things, as I go through this system, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that specific tool, I'm going to attach cards to this video so you can just click on the card and open up another video that goes into a little more depth about that specific thing. And also, for the sake of time, I'm probably going to break this up into two parts, a part 1 and 2, just for the sake of time. I'm trying to keep these videos to about 8 minutes so you can get in and out if you're watching it on the way to work or something else. I know your time is valuable. Also, for today's explanation, we're going to use a for sale by owner format just as an explanation or a way to go through it. Expireds work pretty much in the same way, but the follow-up's just slightly different because there's a scheduling thing with FSBO follow-ups versus expired follow-ups, but the system itself is exactly the same. So with that, let's jump right into it. The very first thing we're going to need in our prospecting workflow is data. I use Mojo for that. Mojo data is very good. It's very accurate. And most importantly for me, it's also very convenient where it's automatically put into the dialer system every morning, first thing as soon as those numbers and leads come out, which is important if you want to get an early start with your prospecting. It's already there. I used to use another system where I would have to get the data and then manually upload it into the dialer. And then I switched to just using Mojo's data, and it eliminated that step for me. So it's very convenient. The data is automatically imported if you subscribe through Mojo's data subscription. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our dialer fired up. I use a 3-line dialer that's got automatic voicemail drops, so it makes it very convenient. It also has a feature where it'll send out auto emails for everybody that I contact also in an email system. And that also is Mojo. I use Mojo's power dialer 3 lines at a time, and it just makes the prospecting so efficient and so quick, and I can cover so much ground with it. So that's our first step in the prospecting workflow is the data, and then our dialer, getting our dialer fired up and starting to dial. It's actually the most difficult part of the entire process is making the first phone call. So the dialer makes it really easy. You just dial in, set your phone to the side, and control everything through the interface in the dialer. And like I say, it just makes it so much easier because the dialer keeps dialing one after the other, and you just have to commit to sitting there for a certain block of time. It's much easier than if you hand dial these numbers and have to keep hand dialing. At some point, you're going to get distracted or something else. So I find that the Mojo Power Dialer is super effective for keeping me focused with my prospecting. So data, then the dialer, and now you're actually making contact using the scripts that you learned in Module 2. Now, in Module 2, we're setting up our prospect to give them an item of value, but we're also going to ask for the appointment if the prospect is ready to go for that, or they answer certain questions in our script affirmatively, and we've got the rapport with them. We're actually going to try and set a listing appointment with them on that initial call. So the next thing that you're going to need if you do that, let's say you set the appointment with them verbally over the phone. I like to use another tool called Calendly. Calendly, which a lot of you may have heard of, is super convenient. But what I really like about Calendly is that it actually sends reminders to the prospect. Years ago, it would be so frustrating where we would have listing appointments set, and then you go to the house and the prospect no shows you on the listing appointment. You spend all that time and effort and gas driving out there, and then they would no show. And then we figured out, oh, what if we had these reminders the way that dentists used to do? That's where I got the idea back in the day. And then Calendly was good at fulfilling this. So Calendly, we always send out our reminder 24 hours in advance, 3 hours in advance, and then 15 minutes in advance. So that they don't forget about your appointment. Especially if you're setting an appointment a week or more out, I generally don't consider anything a week or more out a real appointment. But if it is, it can remind them. And also there are options in there for them to reschedule if something came up or something else. I would much rather they rescheduled than just ghosted me because they were embarrassed that they couldn't make the appointment. One other thing I like about Calendly also is that it allows me to fulfill certain bonuses through their fulfillment system. Not only does it send them reminders, but let's say they need to check with a spouse or some other stall that they gave me, but they're actually interested, and it was maybe a legitimate complaint that they didn't want to nail down the exact time because the spouse needed to be there. I can actually send them my calendar link and let them pick their day and time that works for them. I also like doing this, and I've been using Calendly a lot for this and actually letting them select as long as they do select something. Otherwise, I follow up and press them on it a little bit more. It allows me to control my schedule because I get to set in Calendly when I'm available, and they're forced to pick a time that's convenient for me. Otherwise, I'm stuck with a ton of listing appointments at 7:30 at night, and that's no fun because the appointment takes an hour. If it's in person, it takes 2 hours, and you're driving home at 10 at night after the listing appointment. So it allows me to, and they will pick a time, even if it's not necessarily convenient for them, but if it's their only choice, people will pick the time that works. And it allows you to control your schedule a little bit. So back to that initial call, once we complete the call, I've either sent them out the link or not, but I automatically in Mojo, my CRM that I use is Boomtown. There's an import button, so I can import all of that data automatically into my CRM, which is Boomtown. It's just so convenient. Mojo has a CRM system also, and it does have autoresponders and other things like that. But I have a whole team, and so we have other data sources coming in also, whether it's buyer data. I actually use Mojo for expired listing data also. But Boomtown is ultimately the hub where we keep all of our data of people we've actually spoken to, whether it's our sphere, buyer leads, paid leads, all of those things. Just because it's so powerful, and it helps me to manage that as a team and be able to look at all the other teams' data and a bunch of other features that it uses too. And I like it that it has a very good system for sending out text and email autoresponders, as well as keeping track of our phone follow-ups. So Boomtown is the next tool that I use, that I import the data after I've made a contact. I don't import the lead if I didn't make contact with a for sale by owner. I just leave it in Mojo and then just keep calling that daily until I actually make contact. So now I'm talking about a lead that I actually spoke to this person, ran through our script, have promised them some deliverables, and now I've got a follow-up schedule and texts and emails that need to go out. So once they're in Boomtown, I have an autoresponders automatically set up that will send them automatically text messages and email messages on a set schedule that I've already pre-set up. Now, these emails that go out are extremely powerful. They're what I call a soap opera sequence of emails, meaning the email is story-based. It starts on kind of an action step to hook the person in. And you know how in a soap opera, where the soap opera always kind of ends on a cliffhanger. And so email number 2 is where that loop gets closed. Only by the end of email number 2 in this story, it leaves another open and a hook again so that it keeps them kind of interested. It builds rapport with them. But in each of these emails, also, I'm delivering the deliverables that I promised to them. Now, in part 2, we're going to go over the video section and how to use video to pre-sell your prospect and how to have them sold before you actually ever get to the property. We're also going to go over how to use video to get them to avoid overpricing the property. That is a critical piece of the listing appointment. And then we're also going to go over how to use my online sales funnel or my online listing site so you can actually automate the listing appointment process. All of the autoresponders and the automation pushes them to get them to send that automated to set that automated appointment. Super high speed thing. Nobody else has this on the market yet, so it's brand new into the market. And then we're also going to go over follow-ups once you've gone through the entire system. I look forward to seeing you in part 2.